So you're thinking about moving to Lee Summit, Missouri? Well, in this video, we're going to actually jump inside the computer and tour Lee Summit on a Google map so you can see for yourself why Lee Summit is such a terrific place to live. Now, we're going to hit a number of landmarks as well as 3 neighborhoods, including 2 neighborhoods that actually still have some new construction going on. So with that being said, let's jump into the computer and go tour Lee Summit, Missouri. So now we're inside the computer and we're on the Google map, and if you look right in this area here that's kind of light enclosed by a dotted line, that is the city limits for Lee Summit, Missouri. Now, Lee Summit is about 25 miles southeast of downtown Kansas City. So downtown Kansas City is roughly this area here. If you live in Lee Summit and you commute to downtown, if you're in the northern part of Lee Summit, you're going to take 470. You're going to go down 70 high, Interstate 70 into downtown. Conversely, if you live in the center of Lee Summit, you're going to take 350 on up to 435 to 70. And if you live in the western portion, you may take that same route, or alternatively, you might take 470 and go up 71 highway. So depending on the time of day, weather conditions, and the traffic, you're probably looking at a 25 to 35 minute commute to Kansas City. The real challenge, though, for people who live in Lee Summit, and really for just about everybody who lives in the Kansas City metropolitan area, is driving to the airport. And the reason for that is because our airport is located up about as far away as you can get to most of the population. It's in the northwest corner. So if you live in Lee Summit and you're trying to get to the airport and you live in the northern section, you are going to take 470 up 291 over to 435 to the airport. Again, if you live in the center portion, you might try thinking 291 to 435, all the way up 435, swing it on in, and you're into the airport. Once again, if you live in the western section, you might consider taking 470 up to 71, right through downtown, pick up Interstate 29, and that will take you right to the airport. Now, the airport from Lee Summit is about 45, 50 miles. So your drive time, again, depending on weather conditions, time of day, and traffic, is going to be every bit an hour to maybe an hour, 15 minutes. Now, we'll talk a little bit, just briefly, a little bit of history about Lee Summit. So a gentleman by the name of Dr. Pleasant John Graves Lee, he was a physician as well as an early settler, founded Lee Summit in 1865, and 3 years later in 1868, it was officially incorporated as a city. Now, for years, the population remained very small. In fact, it wasn't until 1960 that the city of Lee Summit contained 8,000 plus people. But the change started to take place when the automobile became more ingrained in how we live day to day. And so because of what Lee Summit has to offer, and it has a lot to offer, people began locating in Lee Summit and commuting to Kansas City. Now, as of 2023, not only does Lee Summit have over 104,000 people, but it is one of the fastest growing cities in Missouri. So now that you have a feel for Lee Summit and the history, we're going to start our tour of Lee Summit. We're going to hit some of the unique, we'll call it venues or landmarks that attract people to Lee Summit. And we're going to then check out 3 neighborhoods that we talked about to give you a feel of where and the flavor of neighborhoods that make up Lee Summit. So if this is your first time to this channel and you want to know everything there is about living in Lee Summit, Missouri, well then subscribe below. Simply tap on the bell and you'll be the first to receive notifications about the changes that are taking place, not only in Lee Summit, but as well as the Kansas City metropolitan market. My name is Chris Pucci with the Living in Kansas City real estate team, and we get calls from people just like you every day. So whether you're thinking of moving in 9 days, 90 days, or 9 months, feel free to reach out. Call us, send us a text, shoot us an email, or better yet, schedule a Zoom call, because there's nothing like we'd like better than help you make a smooth move to Lee Summit, Missouri. So our starting point, we'll put it that way, is going to be in downtown Lee Summit. Downtown, we're going to scroll in. So downtown Lee Summit's about 10, 12 city blocks. One would say, except this area here, more or less. And what makes Lee Summit downtown so appealing is that most of the buildings in its core were built in the 19th and early 20th century. And they look pretty much today as they did back then. So it gives the area a very nostalgic small town feel to it. The streets are tree lined and most of the buildings have overhanging awnings. So even when it's hot in the summer, it makes shopping pretty comfortable. It is very pedestrian friendly, so it's easy to explore on foot. And its primary concentration of shops and entertainment are roughly in a 4-block area, which consists of Market Street. There. This is where you're going to find the greatest concentration of retailers, restaurants, and entertainment venues. Now, the majority of retailers and restaurants are locally owned. In fact, I'm not sure I've ever seen a retail sit-down restaurant or fast food restaurant much a retail chain store. Most of them they're all, they believe, locally owned. And frankly, because of that, you receive a higher level of customer service than you typically experience in a national chain. Again, as I mentioned earlier, there are all kinds of dining options from cafes to bakeries to upscale restaurants and barbecue joints. In fact, a gentleman told me the other day there are 23 bars and restaurants in downtown Lee Summit alone. So one of the appeals to downtown that makes it a destination for a lot of people is that it's a very active downtown. And by that, what I mean is they hold all types of events throughout the year. And some of the three of the more popular events include what they call their Downtown Days, which is a multi-day festival in June. It features carnival rides, live music, food vendors, and craft booths. They have their Oktoberfest, which features beer gardens, live music, and traditional German food. During the holiday season, my favorite season, downtown is decorated with festive lights, and there are Christmas markets and a Christmas parade. During the growing season, you're also going to find the Lee Summit Farmers Market, which is considered one of the top 3 farmers markets in the Kansas City metropolitan area. So now that you've got an understanding of why Lee Summit's downtown is so popular, we are now going to head out to our next venue, if you will, that makes Lee Summit so attractive to young families. So we are going to zoom back out. So now we're in the northern portion of Lee Summit, and what we're going to focus on is Fleming Park, which is the largest park in Jackson County, Missouri. It covers 7,800 acres, and I would define it as this area here. Again, this is my interpretation of Fleming Park. You can see it is home to 2 lakes. The larger of the 2 lakes is Lake Jacomo, and this lake contains 970 acres. This lake is ideal for sailing and leisurely boating. There's a marina that offers boat rentals as well as docks where you can fish off of. The smaller of the 2 lakes, this is called Blue Springs. It's a 720-acre lake, but it caters to more active water sports like jet skiing, power boating, and wakeboarding. But it also, believe it or not, has designated areas for swimming as well as fishing. Now, what really makes this park unique is that it has what's called the Missouri Town 1855. This is a living history museum that recreates what it would be like if you lived in a small village in the mid-19th century. The site features more than 25 historical buildings, including homes, a schoolhouse, a blacksmith shop, and more. And they're all restored to their original appearance. So while you're outdoors hiking and biking through the park or fishing or boating, you can take the little ones and give them an opportunity to see what it would be like if you lived in a small town back in the mid-1800s. So again, when you look at the proximity of this park to Lee Summit, you can see why people are attracted to living in Lee Summit. Now, what we're going to do is we are going to go to our next landmark, and it's very unique, and I'm going to zoom in, and what we're going to focus on right now is a venue called Unity Village. Now, Unity Village is a spiritual retreat center that spans over 1,200 acres, and it also serves as the world headquarters for the Unity movement. Now, this unique venue is a place for spiritual growth and meditation and reflection, and believe it or not, it draws visitors from all around the world. It's easily recognizable because of its Mediterranean architecture, and it has what's called the Unity Tower, which is a 165-foot tower, which is the most recognizable landmark on the Unity Village campus, and it is visible for miles. The campus features fountains, reflecting pools, beautiful gardens, including its famous rose garden. Other amenities include like walking and hiking trails, a public 9-hole golf course, and a labyrinth for walking meditation. They have facilities facilities to hold conferences and for spiritual retreats, conferences, workshops, corporate meetings, and special events such as weddings. It is a pretty place to get married. In fact, that's where I got married some years ago. So if you're just passing through Kansas City, or you're going to move to Kansas City but not necessarily want to move to Lee's Summit, this is something though you should take in. It is really an amazing complex, and it's worth your time and just to go see it. So now that we've got that under our belt, we are going to move just a little bit south of Unity Village to the intersection of Northwest Shipman Road and US 50 Highway. Let's scroll up just a little more. And what we have here is Lee's Summit's #1 retail hub. At this intersection, it boasts over 1.2 million square feet of retail and dining options. So on the northwest corner here, we have what is called Summit Fair. It is an open-air life shopping center, contains about 250,000 square feet with a blend of national retailers, local shops, as well as dining options. Now, what I like about it is that the shopping center, all the shops face in toward the middle of the complex. There's a street that goes through it. The area is well landscaped, a lot of flowers, a lot of trees, has a very inviting, pleasant atmosphere to it. Unlike a typical strip center where everything's in a straight line, more or less, and there's a sea of parking that's in front of it. Now, the key tenants in this particular center include JCPenney, Dick's Sporting Goods, H&M, and DSW. And the shops include a variety of smaller fashion outlets, a number of chain stores, specialty stores, and there are several local and national chain restaurants. Now, the center across the street, if you will, or the next corner, on the northwest corner, is the largest shopping center in Lee's Summit. It's called Summit Woods Crossing, and it contains 750,000 square feet. This is what's typically known as a power center. It includes primarily just big box retailers. This center includes Target, Lowe's, Best Buy, Kohl's, Michael, Office Depot, Famous Footwear, TJ Maxx, and Old Navy. I'm not too sure there's any other big box retailers left, but they're all here. So in addition to the big box retailer, the center also offers a variety of smaller retailers and restaurants, and some of the more popular ones are like Olive Garden, Chick-fil-A, Red Lobster, and Panera Bread. So together, these two centers offer a wide range of shopping and dining experiences, and it draws visitors from across the Kansas City metropolitan area, and it truly is a one-stop shopping destination. So from here, we are going to travel a little further south. I'm bearing, and we're going to zoom back out so we can come down here. Now we can zoom back in, and we're going to talk about the Longview Mansion. Now, the Longview Mansion is a historical estate that was built back in 1914, and this was the centerpiece of the famous Longview Farm. This was once known as the world's most beautiful farm. A fellow by the name of Robert A. Long, he was a wealthy lumber baron and philanthropist. He developed Longview Farms, and at its peak, it spanned over 1,700 acres and included 50 structures, including barns, greenhouses, a dairy, and many more. The grounds themselves featured beautiful formal gardens, water features, expansive green lawns, but the jewel of Longview Farms was the mansion itself. It contains over 22,000 square feet. It features 48 rooms, including luxurious living spaces, bedrooms, and entertainment areas. In the 70s, the farm went into a real state of decline, and it wasn't until recently that the mansion was restored and transformed into an elegant event venue. So today, Longview Mansion has become a popular location for weddings, corporate events, as well as private parties. Again, this is a venue that is worth just coming out to see it just for its grandeur. So our next, shall we say, a venue or landmark is literally just to the west, and that happens to be Longview Lake. Now, so we've got Longview Lake is really this area, and it's more than just a lake. The lake itself covers 930 acres, but it is surrounded by an additional 4,852 acres of parkland. So there are all kinds of things that you can do if you truly enjoy the outdoors. So the lake is ideal for boating, jet skiing, fishing, and swimming. There is a designated sandy beach area, and during the open season, it's patrolled by lifeguards, so it makes it pretty safe. So if you bring young kids out to swim, you know you've got a pair of eyes on them. There's a marina at the lake. It's fully equipped. There's boat rentals. There's dock space to store your boat, and there is a store that sells all kinds of supplies and fishing gear, so you can rent a boat and spend the whole day out there and enjoy the lake. This lake, it's stocked with all kinds of fish, from largemouth bass to bluegill, catfish, crappie, and walleye, just to name a few. But in addition to the swimming and the fishing and the boating, there are a number of hiking and biking trails that weave through the park as well as along the lake shore. There are two popular trails. There's what they call the Longview Lake Trail. Now, that's a paved multi-use trail that's good for walking, jogging, and biking. And then there's the Rock Island Trail. Now, this trail connects to the Katy Trail, which is one of the longest rail-to-trail systems in the United States. So in addition to those trails, so if you're into hiking and biking, great. But if you're into horseback riding, the park has designated equestrian trails that wind throughout the park and along the lake as well. If you're into golf, Longview Lake has the Fred Urbanus Golf Course, which is an 18-hole par 72 championship golf course. There's an archery range, and close by there is the Equestrian Facilities, which is a major equestrian facility that hosts various horse shows, competitions, and events throughout the year. So as you can see, if you enjoy the outdoors, there's probably not a better place to live than in Lee's Summit, because all of this is at your immediate disposal. And I only touched on two of the major recreational areas that make up or surround Lee's Summit. With that being said, let's talk about some of the neighborhoods. So as promised, we're going to go check out three neighborhoods in Lee's Summit, and we're going to zoom back out, scroll a little bit to the north, scroll back, zoom back in. And the first neighborhood we are going to talk about is Lakewood. Now, again, this is just me. So when I think of Lakewood, this is what I think are the boundaries for Lakewood. Lakewood is one of the most prestigious and established neighborhoods in Lee's Summit. I mean, the neighborhood's defining feature are these two lakes, but it has a plethora of different amenities. Now, this development spans about 2,200 acres. It features these two lakes, Lakewood Lake and a smaller lake called Lakewood Oaks. Now, Lakewood has a wide variety of homes, ranging from single-family, townhouses, and condominiums to custom luxury estates. This particular area is one of the largest communities in Lee's Summit with over 1,200 homes. The homes in this community were built, though, from anywhere from 1970 through the 2000s, so the average age of homes ranges from 20 to 50 years. Some of the oldest homes date back to the 1970s. Single-family homes, though, they're the most common type of property in Lakewood, and they range anywhere from $300,000 to well over $1 million. Again, depending on where the house is located in the neighborhood. Townhouses and condominiums, they start in the mid 200,000s. Amenities are abundant. The lakes allow for boating, swimming, and fishing. There are several beaches throughout the community. Other amenities include a clubhouse, the Lakewood Oaks Golf Club, which is an 18-hole championship golf course. There are 4 pools, including a Olympic-sized pool, tennis and pickleball courts, parks, as well as walking trails. Without a question, this is Lee's Summit's most prestigious and largest residential community, and it is pretty impressive. So we're now going to move ourselves to another prestigious community, but it is going to be in the southern portion of Lee's Summit, and it is called Winterset. And so I would define Winterset as this area here. Now, this development is one of the most sought-after places in Lee's Summit next to Lakewood. This is a master plan community. It incorporates a significant amount of green space. It has nature trails and preservation areas. What's unique about it, though, is it's divided into multiple distinct neighborhoods. So each neighborhood has its own unique feel to it and features. Winterset, as a rule, though, is known for its large lot and many custom-built homes. So most of the homes were built from the early 1990s to the 2000s, so your average age of home here is 15 to 30 years. Although in Winterset Valley, which is right up here, that is an area that's they're building new homes, and those homes go anywhere from $800,000 to over $1 million. But most homes are in the mid-range, but are between $500,000 and $800,000. But there are entry-level homes that start around $400,000. Now, amenities include a community clubhouse, 2 swimming pools, tennis and pickleball courts, playgrounds, and it is home to over 10 miles of walking and biking trails that are actually integrated into the neighborhood. Now, so far we've talked about 2 neighborhoods that are really in the mid to upper range in terms of pricing. So our next neighborhood is going to be more in the entry level to what we'll call second home market. And that particular neighborhood is just a little bit south of here, and it is called Oergola Park. And Oergola Park is more or less this area here. Now, Oergola Park is designed like an old neighborhood that you would find back in the early 1900s. So the houses have large front porches. In between the backyards, there is an alley. This is where the garages are located. So you're at entry from the alley into your garage. There are enhanced common areas that are intentionally planned to encourage community interaction. Now, this is a smaller neighborhood. There are 32 existing homes right now, and when completed, this subdivision will contain 133 homes, of which 18 will be on a state lot. Now, homes generally range in size from about 2,500 to 4,000 square feet, and most homes feature 3 to 5 bedrooms or 2 to 4 baths, depending on the layout, most of which are open floor plans, finished basements, 2 or 3 car garages. Now, the pricing for homes in Oergola Park typically falls within the $350,000 to $500,000, depending on the size and the location. But they're the larger homes, but the homes and the estate lots are they're probably going to range somewhere in excess of. So homes on the estate lots will be more in line with the $500,000 to $800,000 range. So this is a smaller community, and as a result, there aren't as many amenities as you might find in Lakewood or in Winterset and some of the other bigger residential communities. But they do have a clubhouse and a pool. They do what's called the Oergola Garden, which sits right here on old Longview Lake. So you have a chance to enjoy the lake. Now, some of the homes in Oergola Park actually back up to the lake, so they have unobstructed views of the lake. Obviously, those houses are going to be a little more expensive. But despite the lack of amenities that the subdivision offers its residents, because of where it is located, you have access to Longview Lake and all the amenities that it has to offer, including the golf course, the camping, the swimming. You're also close to shopping. There's a nice shopping center area right here. We have a nice shopping area that is right in this area here. So you're just literally, you could almost walk there if you so desired. So there's a lot of benefit to Oergola Park that makes it very attractive to young families. So that concludes our Google Map tour of Lee's Summit. I hope you found it both beneficial and informative, but more importantly, I hope you understand why so many people are moving to Lee's Summit. You have at your disposal all kinds of incredible recreational facilities within minutes, not hours. You have access to a vibrant, active downtown that draws people from all over the Kansas City metropolitan area. So it's these things that young families and those people who love the outdoors are moving to Lee's Summit. It's making it one of the largest and fastest growing suburbs in the Kansas City metropolitan area. Hey, if you have any questions or just want to talk about Lee's Summit, feel free to give us a call, shoot us a text, an email, or better yet, set up a Zoom call. Because there's nothing more that we'd like to do is answer any questions that you might have. So if you have any comments, please leave those below and be nice. All of our information is listed below, so we're easy to get a hold of. And until then, hope to show you around town. And again, thank you for your time.